We are back, and we've got some fun stuff to talk about. We're going to get our mojo on today with our secret ingredient, and you're looking absolutely creepy with those gloves on. We will explain coming up on Great TV.
Fired up.
From the birthplace of American barbecue, we are in the low country of South Carolina, and this is Great TV. Jack Waybor, three-time South Carolina state champion. I'm Bill West with BarbecueTricks.com, and we're here to talk some barbecue.
It's cold, Bill. South Carolina is cold right now. Let me tell you, gang. It's got to be like 19 degrees out, which is really unusual for South Carolina, that's for sure.
Well, let's warm you up with our great plate today.
Wonderful.
A turkey on... this is what, 3 turkeys.
3 turkeys on a grill. They look wonderful too. This was a recipe that we posted up a while back, I do believe, and this is the results of it, Bill.
Yeah, I guess it was. I don't know if it was inspired by the Thanksgiving episode or not, but
I think it was.
Take credit for it.
There you go.
Have you been cooking anything lately? It's since it is colder, the competitions don't but
the competition season is pretty much over. We're still grilling here and there. Mike's Catering is doing a lot of catering all around. Of course, Christmas time and Thanksgiving time is big for that. I think Mike made about 75 or 80 turkeys for Thanksgiving, which was a big deal. And now it's all Christmas party after Christmas party. We got barbecue this weekend. We're gonna do some pork loin. We got a lot of things going on. We
this
keep
is
the
just
grills
a good time
hot
to
for.
Cook at home too.
Yeah, this is I guess one of the interesting things is there's not a lot of light out, so you got to use your grill light. I think we had a grill light at one time that we were talking about, so you can get the grill lights out and put them on the grill. But certainly there's no reason why you can't fire up the grill and put some chicken on it or whatever you're going to do.
Get some time off to have a cold one.
Yeah,
and
have a cold one. Victory Hop Devil today, Bill. Good stuff.
What is this?
That's the it's an IPA is what Tony told me today, which is the India Pale Ale. And it's really quite tasty. The Hop Devil's kind of a cool little critter out there. Look at him.
The mythical Hop Devil resides in the lore of farmers.
There you go. This is from Downey. This beer is brewed in Downingtown, Pennsylvania, and I call Downingtown, Pennsylvania home. Shout out to all the Downingtown, Pennsylvania folks. That. Love y'all.
But holidays is a good time to just do some cooking, because since the way we do barbecue, it's pretty much an all-day affair.
Sure.
Or all night.
Right.
It's like the only time I can do a brisket or something like that is when you got a couple of holidays off.
Yeah, and the cool thing about
people coming to eat.
The cool thing about our climate, Bill, is it never really does get really cold here. I mean, it's cold now, but it never really gets cold. But certainly, there's a lot of ways to battle the cold. If you're using the famous Weber Smoky Mountain that we promote so heartily here on Great TV, you can get a 55-gallon barrel or a 55-gallon drum and put it over top of your Weber Smoky Mountain, and it creates an insulator, so you won't have to deal with the wind and the cold, and it'll kind of contain itself within that whole thing.
I like it.
And that's a good tip right there. I'll have to dig up a picture of some guys that use that up in the north area in Chicago and Wisconsin and so on, where you see the snow drifts all around and you Weber Smoky Mountain sitting in the middle of a 55-gallon drum.
At what point do you need that? How cold has it got to be? Or is it more wind?
It's more wind than anything. I think barbecue is barbecue. You're putting a heat source in there, and of course Mother Nature is trying to rob the heat from the metal, and it's beating on the outside of the cooking vessel pretty hard, trying to rob it of the BTUs. But the interiors are usually pretty good. But the wind will just you open up a cooker with a little bit of wind, and it'll just blow the heat right out of it. You want to try to keep that down as much as you can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's get to our first letter. Tony, you can go on there and close that. We got a cat going crazy. We've got, maybe you can't. Get your headphones on.
We got a lot of things going on, that's for sure.
Tony Coombs, our chief videographer. You may just want to go through that door.
And door closing guy. I'm sure this will get edited out, so we'll just have a good time with it anyway.
This is just the YouTube version. Let's get our letter. Our letter today coming from Chris. He says, "Hi, Jack and Bill. Great show. I have a question on brisket. I don't like to make the whole brisket because I don't want it to go bad in the refrigerator before I can eat it all. So I'll cut the brisket in half and only grill half and freeze the other half. I'm having trouble getting the brisket to be nice and juicy when I pull it off the grill, especially when I grill the thinner, less fatty half." I'm thinking he's talking about the flat.
Probably so, yeah. Sounds like.
I have tried a number of techniques, but haven't been able to get it just right. It comes out dry. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on the following topics and how to get a good juicy brisket off the grill. Searing time.
Okay.
Also grilling and smoking time without wrapping it in foil and putting it in a pan.
Okay.
The use of foil or a pan or not using foil or a pan. And grilling and smoking temperatures. So first off, break down brisket. If you got a big thing from like Walmart or Sam's Club or something like that, it's going to be...
It's the full packer, usually.
So you got...
It can be the flat, but it's going to be a big flat.
You got the flat, and then you got, what's that called?
Point sits on top. That's right.
And
or
the point
decal.
is really...
Right.
Decal?
It's called the point or the decal, and it's always fatty, very fatty, and more tender than the flat is. It has more fat in it.
What do you use? I mean, if you were to... I mean, people just slice that up then.
Sure. I make burnt ends out of it. That's what I like to make burnt ends out of is the point part or the decal part of the brisket.
So really, they're cooking a little differently.
Yeah, the tricky part about a brisket is in cooking time, and it's in cooking temperature and the relationship that goes with. I don't sear a brisket. I never have. I don't cook brisket. I don't cook my brisket hot and fast, so I don't find that searing is something that I really want to get into. So searing time, I really can't make a whole lot of comment on because
I've never heard of people searing brisket.
Brisket is such a difficult piece of meat to cook. It's not a steak; it's more of a roast. And brisket is better braised than anything if you're going to do any, not use standard low and slow cooking techniques. So my recommendation is to go ahead, use low and slow cooking techniques. You can get it into a situation where you usually grill the flats or heat the flats if you're grilling or smoking, whatever it is that you're doing, till it gets to be about 170 degrees internally, and then add some kind of a tasty liquid to it, which can be anything from beer to beef broth to liquid, whatever your tasty liquid is, and then wrap it up in foil, and then take it to the temperature to where it gets fork tender. And a flat, it's usually going to be somewhere between 195 degrees and probably 205 degrees. But you're going to be able to stick a probe in or a fork in, and it'll just slide right in like butter. The addition of the foil and the liquid is what actually keeps the brisket from drying out, that flat part from drying out.
Because otherwise, if you just left it there, if it was a smaller flat, it's going to drain, all the juices are going to drain out, and it's going to fall apart, but it'll be
dry as a bone. It'll be cotton dry. It'll be like eating cotton ball, sawdust kind of type of thing. You want to keep away from that. You want to add some kind of a liquid to it so it has the opportunity to not rob the entire moisture out of it. The heating vessel is going to try to rob the moisture out of it.
So you pretty much, most people are going to wrap a brisket.
Yeah, I always recommend wrapping a brisket at some point in time. It's a lot easier to handle a brisket and a lot more forgiving to make a brisket that's been wrapped. Okay. I'm not saying that the artist and the true aficionados of low and slow cooking and barbecue and what it's really all about will tell you that foil, the Texas crutch, is not something that needs to be used, and certainly it doesn't need to be used, but it's just a whole lot more forgiving.
The Texas crutch?
That's what they call it, the Texas crutch, foil. There's another word for you.
I like it.
We're full of it today.
All right. So, and then the other thing is, what'd you say? What's the limit? Temperature limit?
I usually keep my brisket somewhere. As always, you cook in a range of some kind, depending on what's going on. Keep your temperature below 300, and you always do better. Cook it until it's 160, 170 degrees. Wrap it up and take it to somewhere between 190 and 205. All cuts are different, and they all act a little different. You stick your temperature probe or your fork in there, and when it's fork tender, it's done. Take it off, let it rest. Always let your meat rest, and then go ahead and cut it up, and you'll have a great brisket.
There you go. And even better the next day, from what other people say.
There's no doubt about that.
So there's a little bit on brisket. Actually, a lot on brisket.
Yeah, we get a lot of brisket questions, I'll say that.
All right, let's get that gadget out again, which is not really, gadget sometimes it seems like moving parts. Not necessarily.
These are insulated gloves, Bill.
And yeah, this was MJ gave me my Christmas present early because
early.
We've been messing around with different. I've got these oven gloves, which are actually like a knit thing, but they're insulated. But these, so those are.
I recommend neoprene insulated gloves for pretty much everything that you're going to do. These probably came from Mr. Barbecue is what these are, insulated barbecue gloves. You can pick these up anywhere, gang. They're good in the. You can pick them up at Lowe's or Home Depot, any of your
This is interesting. These are Stephen Reichland, and they look exactly the same. I wonder if they just slap a different name on it.
It's possible. Those are a little grayer than these are, but insulated gloves are good. Always good for turning things, picking things up. Boston butts and briskets are big, and sometimes it's hard to stick a fork in it, pick it up, and move it. So you put on your insulated gloves, you can get in there and pick up your meat and move it around, turn it over, adjust your spot on the cooker, depending what kind of cooker you're using, whether wherever the heat source is coming from. It's always good to move things around within your cooker. And insulated gloves are the thing. So I'd go ahead and I have probably 10 pair of these laying around. I always keep a pair in my toolbox.
How can you have too hot? I mean, could it be if you got a piece of red hot metal? Is it going to melt this?
Yeah, you're not going to want to do that. This is strictly for picking up food.
Do you want to try it? Can I heat up an iron and toss it to you? I won't do that.
I'm not sure that's what I want to do, Bill. That is kind of made out of a rubber substance, and I'm not sure how flame retardant it is. But certainly good for that. If you want to pick up really hot things like red hot, iron and wood and that kind of thing, get yourself a good pair of welding gloves. That's what I recommend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you also had a tip. You told me that if you're in a pinch, because you're always using the regular medical cooking gloves.
That's right. We're using latex gloves.
Take a cheapo pair of gardening gloves.
That's right, the knit gloves.
And throw the rubber glove on top of that.
That's right.
That'll work in a pinch too.
Yeah, and that way you have your finger dexterity. This is not good for picking up and not really good for pulling pork or separating fat out of meat or whatever it is that you're doing at that point in time, because they're kind of clumsy. But if you want to get a little more, use your fine, skills, you go ahead and get yourself a pair of knee-bring gloves, or a pair of jersey gloves, and throw your
everybody needs
latex
a pair.
Gloves on top. Yeah, man,
the
get these.
Mr. Barbecue or the
whatever it is. Go to Home Depot, pick up a pair of chemical gloves. Whatever it is, insulated gloves are it.
All right, our secret ingredient today.
Yeah, right, it's ingredient time. All right, Bill, we're going to work with Mojo Criollo today.
I need to look at this.
Mojo Criollo is a marinade. It's based in sour orange juice. Basically a southwestern Mexican Latino kind of flavor profile. Has all the spices in there that are you would expect to get out of that particular flavor profile. Good stuff. I've been using Mojo Criollo for years on chicken. I love it. It's good on lamb chops. It's good for pork. As a matter of fact, I remember a contest I was in one time. The guys from one of the teams actually got a 35-gallon drum of that thing, and they dropped their whole hog in it and marinated their hog for, 10 or 12 hours in Mojo Criollo. Really is a good product. Like I said, based in sour orange juice, plenty of acid in it. Great for chicken, great for fish, pork chops, that kind of thing.
Fairly affordable?
Yeah, really. That's a $2 bottle of marinade right there.
Probably, it's probably in most grocery stores now, but mainly, definitely a Mexican grocery.
Yeah, and I buy that. There's a lot of different versions of it. Pretty much everybody has their version of it. I like the Goya brand because it's always predictable. I know what I'm getting. It's the same whether I buy it in Charleston, South Carolina, or whether I buy it in Phoenix, Arizona. Mojo Criollo. Goya Mojo Criollo is Goya Mojo Criollo.
It almost reminds me of, you had something that you do in Barbecue Pitmasters, which is called rejuvenation juice.
That's right. Similar, but like I said, that's more of that's years and years and years ago when I first started messing with chicken. Mojo Criollo was where I started in the marinade game. It's like a salad dressing almost, except it's based in citrus instead of vinegar, which is, all the Italian dressings and all that are usually based in vinegar, where the Mojo Criollo is based in citrus. That's lime and orange juice and that kind of thing. So it's just a whole different kind of reflection.
Sounds like really good on pork.
Very good on pork. Great for chicken. I've been using it on chicken for years. I always have a bottle laying around the house.
Goya
Mojo Criollo. Good stuff right there.
Our secret ingredient. I mentioned Barbecue Pitmasters and
he's going to
rejuvenation.
open it. If he takes a slug of it, we're in trouble.
I won't. I'll take a slug of something else with it.
What are you looking for?
Where'd my beer go?
I think that's your beer. My beer's down here, Bill.
Barbecue Pitmasters. CarolinaPitmasters.com is your website, and we're getting ready to, and our website of the week, getting ready to launch again.
Yeah, we're launching up. We set the date March 11th and 12th in Somerville, South Carolina, the Dorchester Shrine Club. We'll be firing up Carolina Pitmasters and hopefully teaching a lot of people how to do good quality, both backyard and competition barbecue.
And that's where I first got to know Jack. It's pretty much 2-day intensive competition barbecue pitmaster training,
Yep.
class, school.
We teach it all, and including an open judging at the end, which is fantastic. So you can see your stuff getting judged and ask questions to judges, which is really good.
Of judges. So of people that you know that are actually what do they call master judges?
That's right.
So check that out, CarolinaPitmasters.com.
Yep, www.carolinapitmasters.com.
I think that covers it.
That's
this
us.
week. All right, we're going to take a little holiday break next week and then be back for New Year's. So until then,
Merry Christmas. Make sure you think global, buy local, stay sustainable, and for goodness sakes, it's Christmas time. Hug your mama.